Welcome to Gutsy Talks. I'm Rachel Larson, your host, naturopath, and nutritionist, and I'm here to have real, honest conversations that can help you heal your gut, calm your mind, and fall back in love with food. Together with leading health experts, we'll dive into all things gut health and explore the deep connections between your gut and overall well-being, so you can feel empowered to take control of your health and live your best life. If you love all things gut health, follow me for more on Instagram at rachel.larson or head to rachellarson.com.au. Now, let's get into today's episode. Today's guest is Natalie Gardner, a psychotherapist, hypnotherapist, and biofeedback practitioner with a deep interest in the gut-brain connection. As the founder of Altramind Hypnotherapy, Natalie helps people overcome anxiety, digestive issues, and nervous system dysregulation, often using gut-directed hypnotherapy as a key tool. Her mission is simple yet powerful, to help people become the best version of themselves so they can live their best life. In this episode, we'll dive into how hypnotherapy can reduce gut symptoms by calming the brain, supporting the vagus nerve, rewiring stress responses, as well as helping you understand how your thoughts, emotions, nervous system are deeply intertwined with your gut health. So if you've ever wondered whether your sensitive gut could be helped through the power of mind, this conversation is for you. Welcome, Natalie.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Wow, what an introduction. That's
I
amazing.
know. I love it when my guests kind of hear my praises for them, because it is nice to have reflected back to you just how awesome you are.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it makes you think, yeah, I've done a bit actually.
Yeah,
You don't realize
definitely.
it. Yeah,
Oh,
looking back.
definitely.
Yeah.
And for listeners here, I think this is a lovely connection. So I was put in touch with Natalie through Danielle Elliott, who you may have heard of on the podcast, but you refer to each other quite a bit, do you?
We do, yes. Danielle Elliott's here in South Australia, and yeah, we're each other's go-tos for this issue that we're going to dive deep into because I always say it takes a village to raise a child, and this
Yes.
issue very much takes a few different modalities to help the client.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And Danielle being such a dear friend of mine, I know her fantastic work and I know how she likes to work as a team as well. So I think that's why we're here to kind of emphasize that team care is really the best and the quickest way to get better, because there are so many facets to gut health. And I know after this talk, people will have a new excitement and appreciation for the work that you do. So I guess let's get stuck into it. So we're talking like gut-directed hypnotherapy. So can you explain what this is? And I guess maybe even explain how that might differ to hypnotherapy in other forms, because I think when people think hypnotherapy, they think of people on stage getting, once I click, cluck like a chicken, like that kind of hypnotherapy, but
Yes.
it's not that. So can
No.
you please explain what hypnotherapy is and how is gut-directed hypnotherapy different?
All right, what hypnotherapy is and how gut is different. So the hypnotherapy, so I am a hypno-psychotherapist.
Hmm.
So I have I've completed 4 years of training and about to finish my research task in able to gain the associate degree in qualification.
Yeah.
So that's happening when I get around to doing that research task. It's the last thing for me to do. Um, Hypnotherapy. So why is this gut-directed thing a bit different? It's
Mm.
because we have a knowledge about the 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 gut and the brain axis, and also we take into consideration the polyvagal theory by Dr.
Mm.
Porges. And so
Right.
we have a lot of knowledge around the issue, and we know that it's not just a gut issue, it's a nervous system issue.
Yep.
Yeah. So we help a client through hypnotherapy to address lots of different things. There's actually so many techniques and unique interventions, if you like, that we
Mm.
do in order for a client to gain control, to reduce stress and
Mm.
worry, to give them back a sense of autonomy. So, what was the other part of that question?
Yeah, I know it was a double-barreled question, but so how does it, I guess, differ from the traditional forms of hypnotherapy, which you might have already just
Okay.
answered in that?
Yeah. So it differs. Well, the work we do is the work we do,
Mm.
but the underpinning framework of education is there.
Mm.
So I can talk about, I've written notes here, so I'll refer to my notes too, because I don't want to mess up any specific wording that is required in this interview.
Yeah.
All right. So let's Well, I can also actually, before I jump into that, I can say that there's been lots of research around this topic,
Mm,
and it goes way, way back. And in fact, what makes it different, and I'll quote sort of the first one, is
mm,
one of the best ones that was done. It was probably one of the first research papers. Was Dr. Warwell, Pryor, and Farragut, if I'm actually saying that correctly, University of Manchester.
mm,
They did in 1984 a controlled trial of hypnotherapy in the severe refractory irritable bowel syndrome in the treatment of it.
yeah.
And their study was really profound. It was excellent. They took 30 clients, 30 people suffering from this, and they split the group up. So they did 7 sessions of hypnotherapy on 15 patients,
Mm,
and those were just randomly chosen. And the other 7 sessions on the other 15 clients, they were given psychotherapy plus placebo pills.
mm,
Okay, so one group was given hypnotherapy, the other was given psychotherapy and placebo pills. Okay, so what they found is that the psychotherapy group showed a small but significant improvement in abdominal pain and distension, and in general, the well-being of the person, but not bowel activity pattern.
yeah.
Okay, so but the hypnotherapy patients showed a dramatic improvement in all IBS symptoms.
Mm.
Okay, and the hypnotherapy group showed no relapses during the next 3 months.
Oh, that's
Now,
great.
now that was way back in 1984.
Yeah, that's 40 odd years ago.
That's a long time. And so there's multiple. And in fact, if a person wants to actually dive deep into the studies,
Mm,
get onto is either google.scholar.com or scholar.google.com.
yep.
If you go on there, there's all these research papers. Just type in hypnotherapy and gut issues or IBS, and you will see all the research papers that have come out. There are heaps. So I guess to answer your question, what makes it a little different is that I guess it's supported by research.
Mm,
It's
mm,
validated.
mm.
And in fact, in Melbourne, the Alfred Hospital, they have a unit where they have a hypnotherapist there doing this work on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So it's becoming more recognized and accepted by, I'm going to call it the mainstream.
Yeah. And I think that's so important because I know in my clinic there can be such emphasis, I think, from the patient's perspective about what they're eating and it almost is just the smallest portion as to what is kind of underlying and driving their issues. This nervous system component that we're really talking about is the elephant in the room, and finding science backed for a lot of people supports is important because they don't want to be investing time, energy, and money into things that they don't feel is backed up. So to have more research in this field really proving the benefit of that is fantastic. And as you said, to be going into hospitals, it's not just on the peripheries, in the alternative medicine world. Like this is stuff that's really like there's a lot of science behind it. So I think that's like a
It's
great,
validated.
it
Yeah,
is that,
validated with research.
yeah. And that's like, I think that's fantastic. It's making it accessible. People are listening to it and hopefully then people are accessing it. So I guess like what does a hypnopsychotherapist or how does a hypnopsychotherapist help a client or a patient that you're working with?
All right, so that's a great question. I love this question. This one's a big one. But I will backtrack because I need to answer the first
Yes.
question a little bit more.
Yeah, go for it.
You said, we talked about the woo-woo stuff, the Mickey Mouse hypnotherapist, the stage show stuff, and
Yes.
how it differs. Well, there's a hypnotist, and they are interested in very much in technique, and they focus on stage show stuff.
Mm,
And they're all about the performance, but not necessarily invested in whether that client has had previous trauma
for
and
sure.
stuff like that. They're not, they're just about the technique and the stage show. And then there's a hypnotherapist, and that's a great modality. They specialize in like fears and phobias and
Mm,
addictions and shifting people out of that, the weight loss, the quit smoking,
yeah.
and they do more. But that's that. And then there's the hypnopsychotherapy again, which has a very heavy psychotherapy component to it.
Mm,
And I think that's what's really great. This is my opinion, and everyone's got an opinion. But
yeah.
my opinion is that this is a great modality because it enables us to sit with a client and we talk things out and we get more of a holistic view of their issue.
Mm,
And I'll go into that as to how we help a client, and that will make sense.
mm,
Because we know it's a nervous system issue,
mm,
not just a gut issue. So we have to work out, well, what is causing this anxiousness, this stress?
mm, mm.
And how do we I'm going to say, for lack of a better word, reprogram the mind-gut axis connection, because
Yeah.
it's two-way.
Mm,
The mind, from external and internal stimuli of triggers that
mm,
cause a stress or an anxious response,
mm.
that information gets fed to the gut, and that causes those physical sensations: cramping, bloating, constipation, diarrhea. But then, because the microbiome of the gut, and you know all about this is your field to talk about. So this is all I was saying it because this is your field. But, the microbiome of the gut, when that's out of whack, well, then that actually can cause depression,
Mm,
anxiety. It affects the mind, how we think, how we cope,
yeah.
and it becomes dysregulated, and it also becomes very hypersensitive.
Mm, yeah.
So, okay, so in order to answer your question, how does hypnotherapy help? What do we do? All right, so like I've already sort of touched on, there's always the emotional component with a gut disorder such as IBS: worry, anxiety, stress, lack of focus,
Mm,
poor concentration, feeling distracted. Okay, there's lots of negative thinking.
yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's almost like how they used to be and how they are now. Something changed, because now it's all about hypervigilance. Where's the next toilet? I've got to do this before I go. I won't be able to go.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and so they have lots of negative thinking.
Yeah.
And so this must be suppressed and reduced.
Yeah.
So the first port of call for when a client sees me for hypnopsychotherapy, I start to sit down with them with a cognitive behavioral therapy map,
Mm,
and we start plotting what their triggers are and their feelings and their reactions versus responses, because they're very different, and what emotions are causing that. And it's great for the client to see, because then they become aware.
mm,
Slow down a thought, if you like.
mm.
And we slow it, so we present the thought on a sheet of paper in the form of a map, and we slow it down so they can literally see, oh, that's my trigger,
Yes.
and that's what I'm feeling,
Yes.
and that's how it feels somatically in my body.
Mm,
And so we really focus on, like, stopping that rumination, and so we do that through an enhanced cognitive behavioral therapy treatment, because we enhance it, because the information we gather, I deliver that is a hypnotherapy. So it's a very bespoke personal hypnotherapy for that client. It's not cookie cutter
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, so it really resonates with them. It's in their language, it's their problem,
Yeah.
it's their personal triggers and sensations, which is very potent with
Yes.
hypnotherapy. So we talked about hypervigilance. With the hypervigilance, because with chronic stress over time, because we haven't talked about stress yet, because stress comes from multiple.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, they generally have a lowered threshold.
Mm,
Okay, so what that means is, and this is my analogy, if we've got a front door light sensor,
yep.
and it's programmed to go off when a person gets a few steps from the front door and the light goes on to,
Yep.
with hypervigilance, their light goes on perhaps when somebody's walking past on the footpath
Yes.
in
I
front of the
get.
house,
Yep.
or on the other side of the road on that footpath.
Yes.
So hypervigilant, they are wired for survival,
Yep.
because, organically, or the baseline is, we all are. We're all
Mm,
about fight or flight. We have this mechanism about us, because it's about being human.
yes.
But their system is very sensitive to that, and then they're very sensitive to the sensations that they are experiencing as well.
Mm,
So, and that gets, because it ends up being a loop where they have this sensation, and then that makes them worry more. Then they have anxiety, and then they have anxiety over the anxiety, and then it just makes this negative feedback loop that goes round and round. And what happens in the brain is that the brain is full of neurons.
yep.
That's programming. And so what happens is, when they're thinking the same thought, and this feeling the same reactions, and now they've narrowed their focus of attention to all those sensations and triggers,
Yep.
that actually ingrains deeper in the mind
Yep.
that way of thinking.
Yep.
So we have to help them get out of that way of thinking.
Yep. And I think, sorry if I was cutting you off, but I
No,
think people to hear that, I honestly feel like that people will feel heard listening to that because it's not a case of just stop thinking that, don't worry about it. Like you're saying, like these thoughts are now deeply entrenched. There's a very worn cycle of thoughts and reactions and what the body does, that is like deeply, deeply kind of, worn. Like this is a pathway that's very familiar. So it's very difficult
yes.
for someone to, at the snap of the fingers, just decide, I'm not scared of that anymore. Like it's
No,
not how we work.
yeah, and it's in order to achieve that redirection of the mind, we have to do a pattern interrupt.
Mm,
And there is a bit of homework for them to do, but gee, it's so well worth it because they get their life back. They
mm,
get a sense of control and autonomy and a sense of freedom back. But there is a bit of homework, and what I mean by that is just perhaps simply listening to some hypnosis that I put together specifically for their needs
mm.
that is going to allow them to redirect the mind into
Yeah.
something else. So, because when it's like watering a plant, if we have a little plant, imagine this is a little sapling, okay, just popped out of the soil.
Hmm.
And in order to keep this alive, we need to give it some water. The
Yep.
water is what makes it grow. And if we give it a little bit of water every day, it grows and grows and grows and grows. But if we didn't, the sapling will get floppy,
Yep.
and then the next day we didn't water it, and the next day, and it will dry up and then disintegrate and it's dead.
Yep.
Okay, so the work that we do is about this is my analogy, like throwing a packet of seeds in a fertile mind
Yep.
that has the intention to want to do something about their problem.
Yep.
Okay. And so they're not dragged there. They want to do it. They want
Yep.
to live a better life. And so we throw a packet of seeds via hypnotherapy. And then with recordings, when they listen to that and not just listen, not just hear it in the background and think it's going to be absorbed through osmosis,
Yeah.
but actually follow it, like the Google map, if you like,
Yep.
and see and feel and hear and taste and touch the experience,
Yep.
and bringing in that redirection, it allows them to grow new neurons in the mind.
Mm.
And that's how it works. It's not a Mickey Mouse one hit wonder,
Yep.
poof, there's some
Yep.
hypnotherapy, and now you're different.
Yes.
When there's long-term patterns and long-term stress, and we've still got to talk about that, this takes a little bit of time. Now,
Mm.
it takes a little bit of time to change. Not forever. It's quite quick, actually. But people have to be patient and
Mm.
be willing to want to water their plant, which means listening to the hypnosis and go on the journey.
And that also, like, that's totally like it makes sense. It probably took them a good couple of months, years, decades even, to end up the point where they've realized, okay, this is a real problem. I need change. We can only expect that our body needs some sort of equivalent time to kind of redirect itself. So overnight success and
Yes.
overnight change is hopefully an expectation that after this talk, people realize is an expectation they need to change because good things take time. This is one of them. So, I mean, I don't want to cut you off, but I would love to talk about what the gut brain axis is and why it's such a key player in IBS.
Sure. As you know, it's the bi-directional
Mm,
communication from the gut to the brain and the brain to the gut.
mm,
And so they influence each other.
yep.
Like I mentioned earlier, if the microbiome is not right in the gut, it affects
Yes.
mood. And if, the mind, we're hypervigilant, that affects the gut.
Mm.
And if I talk about the polyvagal theory, I think that one is really good.
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. Have you heard of the polyvagal theory before?
I have, but you're the expert, so please tell me.
Oh no, I'm not the expert on polyvagal, but I have an understanding of it.
Yep.
And I just have a what I call a structural foundational understanding of it,
Yes.
enough to be able to then do my work and put all my effort
Yes.
into the work that I do with the client.
Yep.
So the polyvagal theory, Dr. Porges, so the body constantly scans for safety and danger. And if your system perceives a threat, it unconsciously shifts. That's what I'm trying. So if it feels a sense, and then we go back to that hypervigilance,
Yep.
it shifts. Okay. So basically, there's the ventral vagal. When we're under stress and we perceive a threat, that triggers gut dysregulation.
Yep.
And we're
Ventral
talking
vagal.
about intrinsic stress, maybe
Yep.
a thought that comes into their head,
Yep.
something negative, something worrying,
Yep.
some rumination of negative thoughts, or it could come from an external stimuli, a person, place, a situation, an event coming up,
Yep.
the thinking about that, and that triggers the reaction in the body, and then they have gut dysregulation.
Yep.
Okay. When a person is nice and calm, then the ventral vagal system responds and it's calm and balanced, and then the
Mm.
gut responds by having healthy digestion.
Mm.
All
Yep.
right. So then we've got the sympathetic system state, which is anxiety and panic. And the gut responds to anxiety and panic with diarrhea
Mm-hmm.
and cramps.
Yep.
Okay. And then we've got the dorsal vagal state, and that's the freeze, the shutdown state, the fatigue state. And that's when a person may experience constipation and
Mm-hmm.
bloating.
Yep. Yep.
All right. So we're understanding that we need to work on, as a hypnopsychotherapist, the internal and external triggers. We must investigate that more deeply. I currently have a client I'm working with for IBS, no
Yep.
names mentioned for confidentiality,
Of
of course,
course. Yep.
always confidential. Okay, it's a serious modality. But they had a car accident 8 years ago.
Mm.
And on our initial consultation, this person says, I feel it's got something to do with that car accident.
Yeah.
And, she's probably correct because ever since then, she's on hypervigilance,
Yes.
fight or flight,
Yep.
and was completely different after that accident. The other thing that causes hypervigilance I must talk about is even operations.
Yeah. Definitely.
People can come out of that and not be the same
Yep.
because it's a trauma to the body. The ears are always open, even on the
Mm.
operating table, even under a general anesthetic. The ears are always listening. The subconscious mind is always recording.
Mm.
Everything is stored in the subconscious mind from when we're born to where we are now.
Mm.
Nothing is left out, and it's all stored in there neatly and perfectly intact, and it gets stored in the subconscious mind. And so the subconscious mind, after that, if it's gone, oh, that wasn't good, that
Mm.
was a threat to that body, to that person's existence, it will set up these unconscious reactions, if you like, in
Yep.
order to protect them.
Yeah. And that makes sense because there will be people, I mean, gosh, you're going to have tons of examples in your clinic, as do I, but people that react away, and I can even think of this myself, react in a way where you're like, this doesn't make conscious sense. But that's what you're talking about, is that something is happening on a deeper level that our conscious mind, well, it's happening too deep for that level of mind to kind of be aware of. And I think that's where people can feel like, I don't know why I'm like this. I feel
Exactly right.
crazy.
They can't put their finger on it
Yeah.
because I wish I had my little blackboard or my little whiteboard here now. If I drew an iceberg,
Yep.
and actually on my YouTube channel, I've explained what hypnotherapy is and I've got that iceberg on there. So if anybody's interested in
Yeah,
what
we can link
it is,
that.
go on there. But 5% of the mind, which is the tip of the iceberg above the waterline,
Yep.
is the conscious mind.
Yep.
Our conscious mind is our logical, analytical mind.
Yep.
It's the thinking mind. The deeper part of the mind, which makes up the whole of the mind, is the 95% of the mind, which is the subconscious.
Mm.
It's where things happen automatically.
Yeah.
It speaks a different language. The language is all about feelings. It's about to speak to the subconscious mind. We speak in metaphors and
Mm.
symbolism and pictures. And that is where automatically the heart beats and we breathe from.
Mm.
And the programs that were formed, usually from age 0 to 7,
Yep.
were formed, and they're the ones that we work from for the rest of our lives until we go in there, and if things aren't serving us well, we start to do a little bit of work in that space. But that subconscious mind is where the personal filing cabinet is, the recordings of
Mm.
all the things that we've experienced. And so in order to help a client with the gut related issues, sometimes it may be worth going and doing a little bit of regression, some gentle regression, not opening up Pandora's box,
Yeah.
specific gentle regression to find when that happened, and it gives us a working platform to help them to see it from a different perspective,
Hmm.
to re-narrate it,
Yep.
and also to take them into the future and experience a different scenario or outcome.
Mm.
Even just taking them into regression can be a cathartic release of pent-up emotions and energy and stress in the body, because emotions are energy in motion.
Yeah.
They not
Yep.
only get stored in our subconscious mind,
Yep.
which hypnosis can be a cathartic release for that and help IBS in itself. That session alone can help IBS in itself so much,
Yes. Yep.
or any gut related issues. But the other thing I need to talk about is the fact that the trauma energy gets
Mm.
stored in the fascia of the tissues in our body as well.
Yes. Yeah,
And the
let's
body
speak about
keeps
that.
score. Yeah, the
Yeah.
body keeps score. The body has memory. So that's why, like you said, we can't quite put our finger on why are we like that, because the body is actually keeping you safe, and
Hmm.
it's doing its programs, its thing in order to do that. And it may not be what you want or what
Yeah.
that person wants.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I mean, I love an iceberg analogy. I use it in my clinic when we're talking about the root cause and symptoms are at the top. But I think it's so powerful when you put the mind, in that, I guess, when people thinking about like an iceberg, the 5% that is conscious, the 95 that isn't. Like it's no wonder that we're like, maybe we need to kind of poke around in there if there's only 5%. And of the 5% of stuff that we are thinking of, there's not an answer within that. It's like, well, there's a whole 95% that we might need to delve into. And like you said, like you potentially have to go in there with a bit of caution or just with a bit of ease because there are histories and there are experiences that can also, I'm sure just be things that people are resisting and not wanting to go back to, but important nonetheless, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to stir the pot, and
Yes.
like, and it's done in there's multiple ways of doing regression. It doesn't have to be, a Hollywood blockbuster explosions, and it can be very gentle,
Yeah.
and good, but I only go there if we need to for a client, if it's absolutely possible,
Yeah.
like mandatory to in order to help them.
Yeah. Oh, look, and that's good to for people to listen as well. Now,
Yeah.
we may have already touched on this, but I guess just like really touching on the issue of stress and emotions and how they impact the gut. Like we've spoken about the polyvagal, which we're listening and hearing the words stress and anxiety and those types of things. But are there other ways that stress and our emotions can impact our gut?
Yeah, absolutely. So, working with a client, I work out where that stress is coming from.
Hmm.
So, because all stress impacts the mindset and the gut,
Yeah.
and all stress is going to impact it exactly in those ways that we went through with the polyvagal. So, we need to find out where that stress is coming from. We need to address all stress.
Yeah.
So, as practitioner, well, what are your living conditions like?
Mm.
Is there stress around money? What's happening in your life? Because we want to help them holistically turn down the volume of stress and have coping mechanisms. My hope for every client that I see, gut issues, I can't, we as a modality can't cure them. We're not claiming to cure them.
No.
But what we can do is give people back control in their life by reducing the stress,
Yep.
teaching them how to do that, and giving them the tools to do that.
Mm.
I believe with this problem, the gut dysfunction stuff, they should be given a recording of hypnosis to listen to.
Yep.
That's very important for them, because the recording is training them how to do self-hypnosis.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing. They need to take back control, and
Yes.
they can do it. They can do it. It's been proven so many times. So they need to almost feel more empowered and have
Mm.
more self-confidence. And, maybe we need to work on stuff like that. And if they do, then that brings down stress as well because they feel more empowered.
Yeah. Oh, look, I think empowerment and for people, especially with gut issues, there's a big sense of feeling disempowered, that they don't have control. Everything is happening to them. There's nothing that they can do about it. So in many different ways, I know that there's things that I do to help empower my people, my clients, as do you yours in the way that you do, because it is about giving back that power to that person where they feel like they've lost it. I think that is so important. And in my belief and experience, when people feel empowered and have the education, knowledge, and tools to continue supporting themselves, those are the people that stay well, is if they are like, if they know how to look after themselves and they feel like they can do it, they have the confidence in that. That is, I think, the make or break, I think, of long-term success. At least that's what I've experienced.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
And so for people who are listening to this and being like, okay, so we've talking about, I guess, times where there might be diarrhea or bloating, but are there, other than IBS, like are there other types of gut conditions or symptoms that hypnotherapy can help with?
Yeah, absolutely. It can help with all of them, really.
Mm.
Let me get specific on that.
We love specifics.
So, what it helps with, obviously, we've spoken about IBS, and I bring that up a lot because it's the most common one that people come to see me.
Yes.
It's the IBS symptoms. There's indigestion.
Hmm.
So when you've got upper abdominal discomfort, nausea, burping, reflux can help with that. Inflammatory bowel disease. It's not a cure, but again, these are all associated with stress. So
Mm.
it helps to, mitigate the flare-ups from the stress and the
Yeah,
symptoms and the severity of that. We help to reduce pain. There's another one that I haven't even mentioned that's a huge branch of
definitely.
hypnotherapy, pain management, turning down the volume to pain,
Yes,
giving them
yes.
control over it, and yeah, changing neural pathways in the brain, through neuroplasticity.
Mm.
And that's what we're talking about, that road that gets ingrained deeply.
Yeah.
So that's about changing that. What else have I got here? SIBO as well, alleviating the gas, the bloating. So any gut issue, because it has a major component, if not the component, is stress.
Mm.
Stress from way back when even.
Yeah.
And then it gets compounded over time and then eventually comes out in the body as a physical problem.
Totally couldn't agree more. And sometimes I feel like naturopathy as a modality, we're sometimes still working too high on the iceberg, that like we're not actually getting to the nitty-gritty of things, which I always think there's a nervous system component. So I'm with every patient, I'm saying, what's happening with your nervous system? How are you supporting it? Should we do, like it is always a part of my plan to be like, do we, likely we do, need extra support to work on these things? Because this is what's driving the food reactions, the intolerances. It's not necessarily the supplement or going low FODMAP that will fix these things. It's a multifaceted thing, and the nervous system
Yeah.
has to be part of that, which I guess brings me to my next question is that how does the effectiveness of hypnotherapy compare to other approaches like the low FODMAP diet? I mean, I know that the low FODMAP diet is never a long-term diet. It's certainly effective at reducing symptoms, for example, in IBS, but can they be used together? Is there any studies kind of showing, like, how do they compare in terms of supporting symptoms?
How does FODMAP and hypnotherapy?
Yeah, like, is there anything that is like comparing, like, people that do it, together, or people can get as good of results with just hypnotherapy and not the low FODMAP? Is there anything like that out there?
Oh, I believe absolutely needs to be done together.
Yeah.
Every client I'm presented with gut issues, I always refer to Elliott from Tummy Rescue,
Yep.
because we need to work together, because stress causes a disruption of the microbiome in the gut. So that needs to be helped. It needs to be nurtured and facilitated, and they
Mm.
need to change diet and maybe supplement probiotics, prebiotics. You're the expert there.
Yep.
Then, I need to work with them also to re-regulate a dysregulated nervous system.
Mm.
We need to get them tuning into their body and regulating and turning on the parasympathetic nervous system.
Yep.
Because for them, when they come in, their mind's everywhere. They even find it hard to concentrate. And for them, their minds are like, imagine a pond and you've thrown a few stones in the pond and it's caused all those ripples.
Yes.
But you're trying to see what's underneath,
Yeah.
what's in the bottom of the pond. But their minds are like the rippling water that
Yes.
they find it hard to concentrate, to actually touch base with themselves.
Mm.
So, calming the mind is really important for them to be able to tune into those physical sensations and their mindset. And then that helps to bring down the stress,
Yeah.
regulate the parasympathetic nervous system, turn it on. And then that helps the microbiome. So that's
Yeah.
why we work together as a team.
Yeah, I love that. I really do because I truly believe, and the research supports it, low FODMAP, short term, and some people have even trouble getting symptom relief for that. And it's likely because I mean, there could be many things happening, but often is because, like what you've been saying, there's this hypersensitivity, hypervigilance, hyper alertness, which even the most calm food is potentially causing a bit of trouble for that person. So to just kind of think, all right, well, if we continue doing that, working with someone like myself or Danielle or anyone else of their choosing, but also address the mind aspect, that they will
Yeah.
get better outcomes. So I think that's
Yeah.
good as well. And
And
you
yeah.
go,
Oh, just gonna say exactly what you said. You said the calming food. Then what foods are they going to? Because there's emotional comfort in diet, as you know.
yeah,
And so what foods are they actually ingesting that are bringing them emotional calmness? Is it a donut? Is it
yeah,
something, high in fat and sugar content, which actually is not good for the microbiome?
yeah.
So we really need to work as a team because those things too need to be.
That's an interesting thing that I wasn't even thinking about, but you're totally right. Like they're putting this effort into, I guess, trying to help their gut, but they feel so dysregulated that they're reaching for those comfort foods. So if we can support that dysregulated states, that they don't feel like they're reaching for these things that are ultimately maybe not in their best interest at that time, aside from, I guess, getting that dopamine hit and feeling calm for that
That's
second or
it.
two,
That's it.
that makes total sense as well. So when people are, I guess, aside from obviously we'll put all your information as to working with you, but there's lots of apps available at the moment to support that nervous system. But like, what is the pros, the cons, the benefits to using an app versus, I guess, seeing someone in person or online, on a one-on-one basis versus an app?
Yeah. Well, I think that even just explaining how I help a client,
Mm,
it's so personal.
yep.
It's
Yep.
so personal. So online is good
Yep.
because that person sometimes can't even leave the house.
Yes.
I've had clients that said, I'd love to see you, but I just can't leave the house. So I said, that's okay, we'll do it online
Yep.
until you get to a point where perhaps then you can come in.
Yep.
Not
Yep.
perhaps, they will be able to come in to
Yes.
see me
Yep.
because it's just, yeah, they'll get to that point very quickly, actually.
Mm,
Usually after the first visit, if they do the homework, which is to listen to their specific recording that's done for them, they will gain some autonomy
yeah.
and they will be able to. I've had people that have seen me just for that first session, they've gone off, they go, I feel better now. And I'm happy for them. But the therapy itself, 5 sessions, 6 sessions.
Yep.
And then if there's greater issues of, trauma, it
Yep.
may it may go out to 12 sessions.
Yep.
But 4 sessions, really good. They'll start to really improve, have long-term benefits. Whereas just coming to see me once, we haven't dealt with much. We've just started the process.
Yep. We're starting to scratch the surface.
Yeah. So online apps, what have I got here? What did I prepare in in advance? Okay. So yeah, recordings for daily reinforcement are great. It's always better to try and see a person face to face. Hypnotherapy can work online. A lot of people think that it doesn't, but it does.
Hmm.
As long as I can see the person's hands, because I ask them to give me the finger sensor.
Yep.
It's good. Yeah. So I ask them to raise their finger so I can see the yes answers and we can communicate even though they're in hypnotherapy.
Yep.
The person can always hear and is always in control in hypnotherapy. They're never being put under, and I'm never going to wake them up when they're done. That's not how it works. We're always in control.
Yep. That's important to know because, people that don't know the modality, they're probably thinking, I don't know what to expect. Like, is she
They're
gonna,
scared.
yeah,
They're
make
scared.
sense.
They're scared because, oh my God, now I don't, I don't have control over my life, and now what they're going to send me to hypnotherapists, and I don't have any control over that too, and
Yeah.
they feel like such a victim. So no, hypnotherapy, like I said, if you're in an anesthetic, your ears are always open and listening. You can open up your eyes any time. It's just that the people choose to be in that relaxed,
Mm,
um, physical way so their mind can actually and their minds relax so they can go in deeper and find out the root cause. They want to do the work,
yeah,
but
that
they're
makes
always
sense.
in control, and I make sure they know that too, because we're born sovereign. We're born to be in control with our own minds, to make our own decisions, to
Yeah,
create our own experiences. And who's anyone? Nobody can take that away from anybody.
no,
that
for sure.
that's not even being human, you
Yeah,
know.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay, tools. Okay, we touched on accessibility. So
Yep,
online people can be seen anytime, anywhere. There's the consistency. Maybe you get reminders on an app or something like that.
yeah,
So that is very handy. I don't know about scalability, and how is an app gonna? I guess they've got trackers on there, but what if you're doing the deeper work? Because, like I said, it is always linked to stress,
yeah,
and that could be linked to trauma. Trauma can be actually witnessed as well. It doesn't mean you actually have to have
definitely.
a car accident
Yeah.
or be a victim of some circumstance. It could be just watching something on TV that caused a bit of trauma and did something in the mind.
Mm,
So my concern with apps is or where are they leading the client on the journey in their subconscious mind, and how are they going to support them along the journey if they're not real?
yeah.
Like I'm there with my client either online or face to face, and I'm with them the whole way of the journey, which that in the background for them is very supportive because they know I'm there, and they know that if they go down a dark alley in their mind and they have an ab reaction where they feel uncomfortable or
Mm,
get intensely emotional, we can work through that. But it might be a point where I say, we need to go to our safe place now. Off you
mm.
go. But how's an app going to do that?
And I think that's like probably a good way to differentiate them is that the app is a little bit more cookie cutter as much as it can try and individualize. There's a limit to what it can do that. Yes, there's accessibility. It's probably to some degree more cost effective for people if that's a barrier as well. But that may be something just to consider if people have tried gut and hypnotherapy, but only through the apps, that maybe not to quite write off gut hypnotherapy as a whole, but maybe it's actually time to move from the apps to a one-on-one process, just so you can go that deeper.
Yeah.
I think that's like that makes total sense. An app's not going to be able to go in the trenches with you, or
Yes.
dive super deeply underneath the iceberg's surface. But it could be some sort of, I guess, introduction or stepping stone, maybe.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I love what you said, going into the trenches. I love that. Actually, I'm really into the metaphors. Love that one.
Look,
Oh, I might use it. Can I borrow that?
Look, it's all yours. I mean, you've been
Yeah.
pretty generous with some of your metaphors, and I think like they definitely help. Like I think when we're talking about mind stuff, especially subconscious, like we're talking about this like intangible something something. So if we can give it a metaphor, if we can give it something where it's like the pond with like, that we're trying to see below it, like it makes sense because it's hard to think about the subconscious if you're like, my conscious mind can't think of the subconscious right now.
Yeah, because it goes hand in hand, doesn't it? We talk about things, words are just words, letters put together to make words, to make sentences, to make paragraphs. But then when we embellish it
Yeah.
with metaphors and imagery and storytelling, and it's like this and it's like that, then people can really connect because
Mm.
even though it's a conversation, they are still experiencing it through their own reality.
Absolutely. And so if someone is considering hypnotherapy for their gut health, what should they be looking for in a qualified, specific that gut-directed hypnotherapist support? Like, are there certain qualifications or how do people find the right person for them? Aside
Yeah.
from yourself, of course.
Yes, yes, of course, of course. No, just go to their regulating body, like so I'm a member of the Australian Hypnosis Association,
Yep.
And so you can see on there, there's a list of practitioners that are registered.
Hmm.
They have to have a certain level of education to be registered. Not
Cool.
anybody can be registered on there.
Yep.
We do have, like I have a Medibank private
Yeah, so
provider
like they've got the
number.
health funds. Yeah.
Yeah, and the AHA gives us a number as well. So some health funds do pay a rebate on it. And so also on that website, it will tell you what that person, so maybe is their focus,
Yes.
you know. So that's, and you can ask, just ring up and ask, well, what other training? So
Mm,
I've done multiple trainings,
mm,
three now, but all different types of people. The one recently I did with a lady from the Alfred Hospital in Melbourne.
yep.
So because she works there as a hypnotherapist, and she even has a psychiatrist coming in and observing what she does because they're fascinated with how hypnotherapy helps.
Mm.
But I think after this interview, if anybody listens to this, it's very detailed in how hypnotherapy helps, what
Yeah.
we're actually targeting. Yeah. So that's probably the best way.
I think that's important. We need to be looking for the right people with the right qualifications. I had recently on the podcast a pelvic floor hypnotherapist, physiotherapist, and she was explaining that not every physio is trained in this. And I think that's important to say, look, if you're looking for that specific type of help, this is how you do it. Because we can accidentally end up with the wrong people, have an experience where you're investing in yourself and you're not necessarily working with the right person. So I think they're all great tips if people are wanting to work with someone, if not you, someone that is at least qualified to help them do so. So,
Absolutely.
and so I guess if someone has a sensitive gut, and I'm sure my listeners today would be raising their hand and wants to start calming it, what can they start doing today? What are some simple self-help tools, practices that are like today worthy they can start?
Today, work that they can do at home.
Yeah.
All right.
Or aside from maybe make an appointment, but yes, what they can start doing at home.
What they can start doing at home. Because I was going to mention bone therapy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bone therapy is really great because it is about releasing the energy that's
Yep.
been stored from trauma, from the
Yep.
fascia of the muscles or the tissues of the body.
Yep.
So Tina Renfrey, I refer to, and she refers to me, and she's in Port Adelaide
Oh,
in
great.
South Australia. She is a beautiful practitioner, just like Danielle Elliott is. And so things that people can do, okay, well, they can go for a massage. They can
Yeah.
go for a bone therapy or a
Yep.
deep tissue, you know, release.
Yep.
They can breathe.
Mm.
Breathe. We never leave home without the breath. So when
Mm.
they're feeling stressed or triggered, panicked, anxious, they can return their attention to their breath and do
Mm.
some deep abdominal breathing, bringing the breath right into the stomach down low and really filling up those lungs. So you can do box breathing as well, where you breathe in, hold it for a few seconds, breathing out. Maybe breathe in for four, hold four, breathe out for four,
Yep.
and do it slowly. Because when a person does that, see, when they're triggered, anxious, worried, they've triggered the fight or flight. They've triggered their nervous system. But when they actually breathe like that and shift their attention to the breath, they turn on the parasympathetic nervous system.
Hmm.
Para is, remember, parachute.
Yeah.
And imagine a parachute as they breathe with each breath,
Again, with the metaphors, love it.
coming down and landing gently, and shifting their attention and focusing on them landing gently with every breath. They're landing their parachute.
Mm.
I have a funny brain for all these
I'm
for
loving it.
yeah, links and connects to how it could help them. So I would say the breathing is a great thing, and deep tissue release massages are a great thing, and being aware of your thoughts.
Mm.
Awareness is the key to change in anything. If
Yes.
one's aware of their thoughts, they sit down and go, actually, why was I triggered?
Yep.
And now challenge that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that fact or opinion?
Yep. I
What else? What's the other side of that?
I mean, I think that's such great homework that people can start. You've told them to get a massage, which I mean, who needs permission for that? Love that.
Yeah.
But that's everyone's homework if you would like, or if not, breathing. And I've had a beautiful breathwork practitioner on here as well, talking about, Mim beam. So anyone who's wanting to go into a full breath episode, go back. It's probably one of my earliest ones. But it's so incredible just how we can harness our breath, this free thing that is forever available for as long as we're alive, and it can completely change our nervous system. And even as you were talking, I was like, I was parachuting down with you because I was like, okay, I'm going to do some box breathing too. And you could really feel the difference. So I think that's, you know, people just need to really recognize just the power of the breath and just start breathing, like you said, in very simple but effective ways. I
We
love
were
it.
enabled through birth with all the tools. It's
Yeah.
just knowing how to actually use them,
Yeah. You
using the mind in an efficient, effective way,
yeah.
using
Oh,
the
look,
breath.
you're so right. And, everyone just take a couple of deep breaths, do some box breathing, notice a few things, and book a massage.
I
That's
love it.
it.
Love it.
And and in your experience with all the people that you've worked with gut issues, what would be your number one piece of advice? Or if you can't narrow it down to one, like what is your top piece of advice is if there's more
Okay.
than one?
Number one piece of advice. Okay. Well, yeah, number one piece of advice. This is going to be hard. Okay. I'll
Yeah.
keep it short. So, although a person may be diagnosed with IBS symptoms, okay, and it's very, very debilitating.
Mm,
Number one is there's no evidence that they'll develop a serious disease such as cancer
yep.
of the gut. There's
Yep.
no evidence apparently. Okay? There's no evidence for that. So I want them to feel calm about that.
Yep.
Okay? There's no evidence. So, but I guess my number one piece of advice is treat your gut like it can hear everything. It can hear your thoughts, it can hear your words. So be very conscious, become very aware of how you're speaking to yourself, okay? And become your own best friend. Speak to yourself, speak to your body and your gut with love and understanding, patience, tolerance. No, don't be like negative about your body,
Yep.
you know? Be
That,
kind and gentle to it because it hears everything. And the more kind you speak to it, instead of being upset and cursing your body for bringing on these symptoms that are limiting you, and you can't go out, and you're upset and you're angry.
mm,
Maybe just go, I know, you're doing this for a reason. You're keeping me safe. It's all good.
yep.
Because the mind is everything. The
Yeah.
mind is everything. What you think, what you tell yourself is who you are.
Yep.
So if you don't like who you are, start talking to yourself and in a different way.
Mm.
Become your own best friend.
Oh, I think that is such an important thing to finish on, and one that I think a lot of people, even myself, need reminding. There can be that inner critic, that inner mean girl or boy or inner whatever you have telling you things that really aren't true and they're made up. And it is about becoming your own best friend, and just kind of giving yourself the support because if not you, then who? Kind of thing. So it's good to kind of have
Yes,
your own mind on your side. Of
yes,
course, other people give you support, but you know what I mean? Like you're with yourself for the rest of your life. So to be having
yes.
your mind work with you, support the healing process. I mean, why not? Really? It could be used for good or bad. May as well make it for good. So I think that's
That's it.
incredible advice to end on. And Natalie, if people want to work with you or connect with you, obviously we'll put all the information in the show notes, but how can people do that?
Sure, they can contact me through my website.
Yep.
Ultramind, it's spelt with an A. It's behind us. That's my sign. Let me bring it into the shot. So that's me,
Yep.
ultramind.com.au. And
Perfect.
I'm in Adelaide on Semaphore Road, Semaphore. And you can book through the website. And if you want to do an online appointment, just send me an email and we can arrange that as well.
Amazing. We will do that. And like I said to everyone listening, I've got the links in the show notes. So you'll have everything you need to connect with Natalie. So thank you so much, Natalie, for an incredible chat. Yeah, you're great at what you do. And I'm so glad that Danielle kind of connected us together.
Me too. Amazing. Thank you so much, Rachel. It's been such a pleasure to speak with you too. I love it.
Thanks for tuning into Gutsy Talks. I hope today's episode left you feeling inspired to take the next step in your gut health journey. If you're ready to dive deeper, head over to rachellarson.com.au. There's a range of courses and resources waiting for you.
If you loved this episode, I'd be so grateful if you shared it with others who might benefit from this information. And so you don't miss out on future Gutsy Talks, be sure to hit follow and leave a review. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'm Rachel Larson, and I can't wait to connect with you again for our next Gutsy Talk.